Hello and welcome to the Hellraiser blog. I got back from Las Vegas earlier today. Went there for two novice pro boxers, but today's blog is about the boxing in the Olympics. If you're British and you're watching this, you definitely, well, I'd say you probably would have heard of the Michael Conlan fight. Michael Conlan, world amateur champion, boxed against a Russian guy called Vladimir Nikitin, and was beaten on points, although if I was a judge certainly he would have won it. He made a real fuss about how unhappy he was with the decision. You can understand his frustration and how angry and let down he must have felt, but that's boxing. But to me that wasn't the worst one. Why not? Because in that fight, although if I was a judge, me personally, I'd have given it to Conlan, and I'm not biased. I actually know Michael Conlan. I also know his brother, Jamie, and I like both of them. But from a judging point of view, I'm not biased. I have no tie to them. If I was a judge, I would have given it to Michael Conlan. Why I think it was more excusable than the other fight I'm going to talk to you about, because in the second round, Conlan seems to abandon the sort of more technical counter-punching approach that he had in the first round and then took again in the third round. And he just sort of gets stuck in much more. He sort of comes forward, he throws more power shots and bigger shots, cleaner shots, and they give him the round. Because of that, I sort of feel, well, maybe, look, all judges look for different things, and it makes me think, well, maybe the judges were looking for more aggression than skillful boxing, which is surprising in the Olympics, because normally it's the other way around. But there's an argument that maybe that is what they were looking for. The fight that really has irked me and has really got my back up was the heavyweight final, because the heavyweight final, there can't be any argument. There's a guy called Evgeny Tischenko. He's a Russian heavyweight. He's a good boxer. He ends up in the final boxing a Kazakh called Vasily Levitt. And Vasily Levitt wins the fight clearly. Let's have it straight. There's no argument. There's no way anyone, fair-minded person, could possibly lean any other way than the Kazakh Vasily Levitt, that he won. He wins the fight. He hits him with more punches, more accurate punches, faster punches. He dictates the pace of the fight. He hits him with more clean headshots. Everything you could ask a boxer to do to win a fight, he does it. And they still ripped him off. I don't use that term easily in boxing, because I understand, look, we all want to win, and there's always arguments, but if you look at it this way, or this guy was more, like I say, in the Conlan fight, maybe they're just looking for aggression. And for that reason, a lot of the fight, they were coming at close quarters and sort of swinging. It still looked to me like Conlan was nicking it, was edging the fight, was winning it. But the heavyweights, there is no argument, and that is a major problem for AIBA, because that is as close to black and white clear evidence as you can have that corruption exists. Because how can a guy lose the fight so clearly and be given a decision? And no one can say to me, oh no, but different judges look for different things in that fight, because the guy who was more aggressive, who was more industrious, who was more accurate, who dictated the pace of the fight, who made the first, who led off, it was the same boxer that did all of it. So there's no argument that but maybe they were looking. No, I will not. And anyone that tries to tell me, listen, I love getting emails and texts and tweets and messages from people that watch the blog, the Hellraiser blog, and give me their opinions. I really enjoy it. Whether I agree with them or not, that's not the point. I just like hearing the opinions. I can guarantee you I will not get one single message saying that Evgeny Tischenko, the Russian guy, won that fight. And if there is, I would just discount it, because it did not. There's no argument. It doesn't exist. There's just no way that guy won that fight. And if anybody thinks that the Kazakh lost, I want to hear the exact argument, and there is none. Let's see. I'll see if I get any messages. I don't think I will. I can't understand how anyone, And these are supposed to be the best judges that exist in the world. And this is like the pinnacle of amateur boxing. So you should have the best of the best of the best, the cream of the cream. And that was the best that they could deliver, an absolute shambles. And AIBA needs to take that by the scruff of the neck and sort that situation out, or AIBA will not be involved in the Olympics for very long, because the Olympics aren't going to carry that. That looks terrible for them. And the Olympic dream and everything they try and sort of represent themselves as sort of standing for is completely decimated by that very, very conclusive evidence that corruption exists in boxing. And it's a real shame. And it's heartbreaking for the boxers, these guys that commit so much and work so hard to get to where they can. And even for me as a spectator, you know, I love watching the Olympics. I look forward to it for months. Then I see it and something like that happens, and that's not right. That has to change absolutely. Anyway, like I say, even if I play devil's advocate, if you said, right, okay, the other guy against Conlon was more aggressive or bullied the pace a bit more, did better up close. I don't know what argument that you know you could have, because to me Conlon won it, but the heavyweights, there is none. Watch the fight. Send me an email and let me know. Conlon, where does he go from here? Well, he'll no doubt, absolutely 100% now be turning professional. He's not going to stay with the amateurs anymore. I remember when I worked for Barry McGuigan, they made an approach to him, and I was actually quite impressed at how confident he was, because they offered, you know, quite decent money and okay deal, quite a good deal, and he flatly refused it and you know went for his Olympic dream instead. He possibly regrets that now, but I imagine Conlon will go pro now. Now the thing that I think is an issue for him now is the way he reacted. Because you can't blame him for being disappointed and voicing his disappointment. But it was the actions, I mean, sticking his middle finger up at the cameras and at the crowd and effing and blinding, almost going out of his way to eff and blind as much as possible, will be a problem for pro. Because, look, pro boxing is financed by ticket sales, sponsorship, television. Well, he might still make ticket sales. But from sponsorship point of view and TV companies especially, I mean, a lot of TV companies don't want to touch boxing because they see it as a liability. They think it's full of scoundrels, like Mike Tyson gets done for rape. I've had meetings with people, TV executives, who have come to me and halfway through the meeting and said, oh, but it's just what happens if one of them rapes someone or murders. And I never had one boxer. I've managed close to 400 boxers now. I've never had one rape anyone or murder anyone. So it's not that the argument doesn't stand up, but because they watch boxing for 30 seconds a year, or they read about boxing once in a, you know, blue moon, the image they have is distorted. And here we've got the Olympic Games, which brings loads of attention from people from outside the boxing world, the focus onto boxing, and they see someone effing and blinding, sticking fingers up, and he's a boxer, and suddenly, you know, becomes very difficult, say for Conlon, Michael Conlon, I think TV station will look at that and think, well, do we want to risk working with this guy? Some will and some won't, but really you want everyone to work with you, or at least to show an interest, because that's how you get the most money. And professional boxing, believe it or not, is not about medals, it's about money. But we'll see. Listen, we'll see how that comes on. One final thought on it. I just thought I'd mention this. I remember, it must have been about 10, 12 years, I was in Sardinia with Frank Maloney, as he was then, now Kelly Maloney. And we were there for the EBU convention, the European Boxing Union convention. And a gentleman was there from AIBA. And he voiced his dissatisfaction with the fact that the amateurs provide, apparently, all the raw materials, and the professionals take all the money. And you could see that he sort of thought the amateurs were due a cut of that money, or they should. Okay, well, if they want that, I can give them some advice on this issue. They have to provide a system which is not corrupt, which is transparent, which is clearly fair on for everybody, and that way their thing will grow. And do you know, if they actually did that, they wouldn't even need to sort of be thinking about pinching a slice of the pie from the professional boxing, because amateur boxing is a great spectator sport. It's a great television sport. It's a great Olympic sport. It's a great Commonwealth Games sport. It does so many good things, amateur boxing, for kids that are in, you know, on the streets and that are sort of hanging around and up to no good, that everyone really would get behind it. They have to get their house in order. They have to provide now a much, much better product than what they have. And if they do that, they'll have much more money than what they're earning at the moment. The reason why they failed and why they're now basically on the brink of falling apart is because they have not delivered a quality, you know, a service of enough quality that it has to be. And that's where they should focus on. Amateur boxing is a great sport. Make it work, and we go from there. Okay, well, anyway, there will be more blogs to come because I'm going to talk about Vegas, and we've got a show coming up at York Hall on the 1st of October, and all different things happening. A lot of deals coming through, so I'm going to be talking about those. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. See you then. Bye-bye.